Greetings. Have you heard about the talking stick? It really helps people to get along and work together. And we've been practicing this since the early 1980s in our yoga group. And the talking stick is a marvelous, marvelous way to go through problems together. I'm going to set it down now. A candlestick qualifies. You could use a candlestick, or you could go out into the forest and get your own actual stick. I recommend an actual stick, but I recognize the candlestick is a stick. So if you don't know about this, it helped us a lot. And I hope it helps you, and I'd like to just share it. I understand it's a practice that is centuries old from India and Africa. So, shall we explore how to truly connect with others with a talking stick? The purpose is connection and understanding one another, communicating your point, being understood. That's the intention. The person holds a stick, one person. As long as that person has that stick, that person has the floor. That person is going to be the one who does the talking. Nobody else is going to talk. If you want to talk, you've got to wait for your turn with the stick. Until the stick is handed over, you're holding the stick, you talk. You talk with the goal of being understood. You strive to speak clearly. You can speak as long and thoughtfully as you can about the issue you have. So it's a wonderful time to just know you're not going to be interrupted. You're going to be heard. Hopefully you're going to be understood, but this is your chance. And try to communicate. Try to get your point across. When you have spoken what you're so concerned about, you say, "Do you understand what I'm saying?" And you keep the stick. "Do you understand me?" Yes. And then the other person or persons speak. They strive to repeat clearly what they have understood you as saying. And so, let's say person B, second person, repeats what he or she understands. And if you who hold the stick are satisfied that they got your point, then you give someone else the stick. Someone else will speak. But if you're convinced they didn't get your point based on what they said back, the feedback, then you explain more clearly and more fully. Once you have heard somebody give you feedback and you agree that they're saying what you think and feel, then it's their turn. And you've passed the stick, and now someone else has the right to hold the stick and speak without interruption, but striving to be good at communication. Not just ventilating, but striving to communicate, to be understood, not just talking and ventilating feelings. You can do that if you can communicate your feelings well, but if the goal is to communicate, try to communicate. Don't just talk about all your feelings. It's not a therapy session. It's a communication and connection session. The stick is passed. You can use a ball or an imaginary stick, but why not start with a real stick? It gives psychological help. It helps maintain connection or reestablish a connection. Very often, connections get broken, temporarily broken. I saw a doctor on television do this to help parents and kids gain and maintain connection. And it's a great practice for maintaining the psychological requirements. As I say again and again, the goal is connection, and we'll get into the psychological requirements shortly. We're trying to gain or maintain a relationship. The most component, as you do this, is you're striving to connect with this person. That's the attitude. I'm striving to connect with you, all the people who participate, rather than you're having your say, wait till I get my say. So, continuing on. Relationships die if there's a disconnect. Relationships thrive if there's a close connection. During bumps, crises, and challenges, it's so important to maintain connection, to not have it fall apart. Connections in tough times are very helpful and very nurturing. To disconnect in a tough time it makes the situation even worse and often heartbreaking, because you were working together so well in the good time, and now you've fallen apart. The process is intentional dialogue, and it involves these three psychological factors. First one is mirroring. While A is sharing, person B or the other folks who are listening, we don't listen with an attitude of what we're going to say. We strive to understand what this person is telling us. We listen. We strive not to get emotional. We strive to understand. We listen not to judge. We're not thinking how right or wrong that A is. So acting as a mirror. When A has said his say, person A, then you're going to be asked to repeat back to this person what you hear. So strive to say it evenly and clearly, not full of anger or how could you be so stupid or how could you be so preposterous. No, the attitude when you're going to repeat back to A is, so let me see if I've got this right. You're saying that attitude. You're saying that if I hear you correctly, you're saying such and such. That's the first requirement, psychological requirement. And it makes a lot of sense. If you're just going to fume and ventilate your spleen, you're not connecting. This is an effort to communicate and connect. Part 2 of psychological benefit and psychological requirement is validate. Understand and validate. I understand why you're upset, or I understand why you're feeling so worried, or I understand why you feel so neglected or misunderstood. Validate their feelings and concerns. Try to understand and speak it. Validate their feelings and concerns. Not, again, how can you be so stupid, or how can you be so selfish, or how can you be so thoughtless? Understand A's feelings, worries, and viewpoint. You could even, if you can say it honestly, what you're feeling or saying or thinking makes sense. I can see your point. And then the third psychological benefit, component, and requirement is empathy. Strive to walk in their shoes, hold A's feelings, notice, honor, and respect the feelings of the person who is speaking. That must make you feel angry. Or I see why you feel so sad. Or some other empathetic understanding of the condition they're in. So you felt so alone, or you felt so confused, So that's the process, mirroring, validating, and empathy as being part of this wonderful process through the centuries to us now. This doctor concluded with, "What do you need from me? What do you need from me?" What a wonderful connection happens with the talking stick. Cautions. You must relate to the person who's speaking as a person, not an object or not an argument. You're relating to this person. These three factors reduce resistance and bring connection. Or if you've been disconnected, you can have a reconnection here. Mirroring, validating, empathy, and observing the rules of the talking stick. Who's holding the stick? That person has the floor. Mirroring, validating, empathy. I've seen some beautiful healings of relationships and of people, of their esteem through the talking stick. I hope that's clear. May God bless your practice of the talking stick.